Hey everyone, this is Josh back with Cardboard Chronicles, and today we have a legendary guest in the hobby, Justin, also known as AlabamaSlamma on Blowout and 610 Sports Cards on Instagram. How you doing, Justin?
I'm doing well, Josh. How are you?
I'm
We're
doing,
getting through our AV difficulties.
yeah, well, we got them figured out now. So why don't you start us off by telling us about yourself and also your background in the collecting?
Yeah, so I'm 36, and I think the hobby story is very similar to a lot of other people. I busted packs as a kid. We had all kinds of hobby shops within the area. We had some local gas stations where after baseball games, basketball games, we would duck in. My parents would buy me some packs. I'd rip through those and then just kind of pour over the stats and all the fun stuff on the backs of cards. Just reading about the game, about players, and yeah, so it started there. I vividly remember one time going to a card shop in Greensboro, North Carolina, with a buddy of mine, and we opened I think it was 93, 94 Stadium Club basketball, and he pulled a second year Shaq Beam team, which I think booked for 20 or 30 bucks at the time, and I got completely blanked, and I was just furious the rest of the day because I'm an only child, but he also got the nice card. But yeah, it's just fun stories like those, trading, ripping packs, screwing around with friends. I got out of it, I think, probably sixth or seventh grade, so early 90s. And then I jumped back in college in the early 2000s. So I missed all of the stuff that currently holds all kinds of value. But I did get back into it in college because a buddy of mine, this was when eBay was still in its infancy. So he had always been involved with the hobby somehow. But he would go to the local show in Raleigh, North Carolina, and buy, just Michael Vick cards for $100, and then come back and sell them on eBay that night for 5 to 10 times what he paid for them,
Jeez.
because eBay just wasn't the gold standard at the time. So I kind of got back in from that sense, like, okay, make a little money and for school, and get back into the hobby and see what's changed, and so much had changed obviously in 10 years. But I continued to do it a little bit through college. I think I graduated in '05, and after that, I again took another break for maybe 5 or 6 years, just doing other stuff. And then it was weird. I randomly remember just pulling a Wilt Chamberlain Incredible Auto out of my little safe there and being like, oh, okay, I wonder what this is worth now. And it had gone up a few dollars. So sold that, and I was like, well, I guess I'm back in. And I think that was 6 or 7 years ago. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at today. It's been an on and off cycle, but it's definitely been on for quite a while now.
So you've been back pretty consistently since then?
I have, yeah. The hobby's taken some different turns and twists in terms of the things that I like to buy or that I've tried buying throughout the years. But yeah, for the past six to 7 years, it's been pretty much nonstop. I think this will be my sixth national this summer. So yeah, I've been doing that for quite a while now. I try to get to the local shows as much as I can here in Northern Virginia. Those are always fun. I've been to a few Chantilly shows, and then obviously the growth and the online has helped keep everybody and anybody involved as much as they want to be. So it's fascinating to say the least.
I've seen your stuff on Instagram, but try to categorize or explain what you collect because it's pretty diverse from what I've seen.
Yeah, I've kind of tried to do all of the different little corners of the hobby. First of all, I stick with basketball.
Yeah.
It's hard enough for me with basketball to keep track of 15 guys or however many guys it is on a roster. Let alone football is 52 guys on a roster, and I just think baseball is stupid and pointless. So I don't even mess with those. I just try and stick with basketball, and I've tried to do like the buying full collections, and piecemeal those out when things slowed down for me for a while. I was like, all right, I'll just buy a few collections and see how that goes. That didn't go well. I mean, I still have all kinds of just $2 stuff that for me doesn't keep me interested. So that didn't really work out. I've tried prospecting rookies and things like that, and while that's fun, I don't really have the stones, if you will, to buy up hundreds or thousands or however much money it is of a guy who is fresh in the league or maybe a second year guy.
Yeah.
And I tried it a few times. I did well, but most of the time I didn't do well. So I'm like, all right, well, this isn't necessarily my thing. And I think this has been a common theme that all of your other guests have pointed out so far. But the areas that I've done the best in terms of a value perspective, but then also the stuff I enjoy the most is just buying what I like. And I have no shame or no problem admitting like that definitely changes throughout the years. I think the first time it kind of hit me to stick with the whole buy what you like thing was with the rookie flashbacks from the 2009-2010 Exquisite set. I started buying those, I think, in maybe 2011 or 12, just because they were cheap, relatively speaking. At the time, I enjoyed the tribute to the original 0304 Exquisite. We were a couple years into the Panini exclusive, and Panini wasn't really putting out anything that tripped my trigger. So between those different factors, the veteran, I like the veteran angle to it. So, paying tribute to, this is essentially what the veteran Exquisite rookie would look like for some of these guys. It was just a cool confluence of factors that all played into like, all right, I'll just start picking these up. And, I collected those for 2 or 3 years. And then it admittedly got to the point where, they were worth a good bit more than I paid for them. And at that point, I wasn't comfortable paying that amount of money to continue to pick them up. So I moved those. I sold those, just picked up other stuff here and there. And then I kind of moved into the shiny stuff game, whether it's just trying to focus on Kobe, Jordan, and LeBron of, just gold refractors, X-fractors, regular refractors, whatever it was. Just, again, it was cool because they were cheap, but they were also they were gorgeous cards. The Topps Chrome and Bowman Chrome photography is still something that I don't think Panini has been able to replicate across any set. So it's just these, I see the picture of the chalk toss in the background of your office, and, that may show up here in a few minutes when I show off a card or two. But it's just these iconic images and the horizontal, they take a 3x or a 2x3 card and make it seem much bigger than it actually is, just with one picture and the way that they frame the photography. So it's just different stuff like that you find whatever you like, you buy what you like, and whatever keeps you engaged, and you find that other people share similar interests or whatever, and that's really where I've just found that my niche essentially is it's high-end basketball. It's pre-Panini stuff. Again, I see where Panini, to me, they take a few steps forward with some good designs, but they're just so unwilling to change. Like if you put one card of every year of Flawless in front of me, I probably couldn't tell you what year they are. Yep. But again, the thing I loved about Upper Deck, and you really appreciate it more now, is their ability to take chances. And at the time, it wasn't great, a lot of it, but Exquisite every single year, Upper Deck Ultimate every single year, SP Authentic, UD Black, Upper Deck would just do whatever they wanted to, and sometimes they look wildly different from one year to the next. And yep. I appreciate the taking chances, and I think that's why this old school Upper Deck stuff has really found such a fond place in a lot of collectors' hearts, is because it's so different. There's something for everyone, whereas the vast majority of the new Panini stuff, I'd like to get into it. I don't want to buy one of something that looks like everything else.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. I just stick with high-end basketball, stay in my lane, and go from there.
So you've mentioned switching what you collect. You're sort of pivoting through the different sets that you like or cards that you like. So are you getting to a point where like you have too much stuff and then you like to consolidate? And if so, what's your strategy to shifting and consolidating your collection down to what you really like?
Yeah, so the consolidation thing, it's a good question, because kind of what I touched on earlier, the fact that I tried these different approaches, with one of those approaches being buying out whole collections. It is incredible how quickly things can accumulate.
Yeah,
it's just in the corner of a closet. You go from one small safe to several boxes in a very short period of time. So for me, I've been trying to pare back on the collection that I have for the better part of think 3 years now, honestly. And it's funny because as I was thinking about it a little bit this morning, it's like, okay, how did I do this? And it was almost like you would if you were spring cleaning around around the house, or you wanted to donate stuff to Goodwill. It's like, all right, let's make some piles. It was honest to God, it was 3 piles. It was the stuff I want to keep, there was the no-brainers, this isn't going anywhere. The stuff I wanted to sell, which was just stuff that it was just taking up space. It was really no use to me. It just wasn't interesting.
Yep.
And then kind of the stuff in the middle where I wasn't really ready to ditch it, but at the same time, I thought I might down the road. And I would say that the biggest and almost the hardest part whenever you're trying to sell things off and pare back, for me, was selling the first card. I mean, as simple as it sounds, as soon as you make that sell pile, even if it's 1, 2, 3 cards, whatever, just sell them immediately. And even if it means taking a loss and cashing out and moving on, just it's amazing how quickly things snowball from there, because you sell one thing and it's like, okay, this is gone, this is good.
Yeah.
Let's keep doing this. Let's keep this momentum up. So it was start with a small sell pile. You do, I'm not perfect. If anybody tells you they've never lost money on the sale of a card, I might not necessarily believe them. So again, it's one of those things and it kind of goes back to, you look to your middle pile and you're like, all right, why do I think I need to keep this? Well, maybe it's a young guy who you still feel good about as a prospect, and his rookie year wasn't great, but it's a rookie year. Who knows what's going to happen? So you want to hang on to them a little bit longer. That's fine. Maybe it's something that you paid a ton for and you're hoping it's going to bounce back a little bit, and that's fine too. But more often than not, in my experience, that one probably needs to get shifted to the sell side. And again, that's the hard part, because nobody wants to lose money on something like that. But yeah, it was just a matter of being able to go through everything. And I think that's important too, is that if you ever feel overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that you have, is to just go through it. And as you're going through it, you'll start to find trends and patterns in terms of what sticks out to you, good, bad, or somewhere in the middle. And that helps you, because I know when I had this stuff, I would rifle through it, the volume, I'd rifle through it, figure out what sells well, sell that stuff. And then I'd be like, oh, I'll get back to the smaller stuff later. And then you don't, it just sits there. So being able to sit down on an afternoon and kind of go through all that stuff and understand why you like something, why you don't like something, that really goes a long way in helping to just start that kind of consolidation process for whittling back on a collection.
So I'm assuming you've had some regrets over the years in selling stuff. A lot of times I'll see people on the threads talk about they have regrets because the price has increased since they sold, or like, I used to have a LeBron rookie auto and now look at the price, I should have never sold. Whereas my regrets are more on, I miss the actual card itself. Like, I wish I wouldn't have sold that specific card, and I'm not too worried about the price. Is that something that you do as well?
Unfortunately, yes. There's all kinds of stuff that you wish you could have back, and that's from both a collecting perspective of even if some those rookie flashbacks. I mean, those were great cards. Even though you do well on some stuff from a financial perspective, and that's why you move it. You're not likely to see a lot of this stuff again, and I think that's especially within high-end basketball, and the fact that it's a global market, is that a lot of these really nice pieces oftentimes end up with both domestic and international collectors, and the nice pieces they disappear. You might see them pop up on Instagram, or you might see them on a random, trade page or something like that. But for the most part, I think that the hobby's at the point where the premium items are in such demand that if you let them go, you're probably not going to see them again.
Right.
That is definitely a big part of the regret of selling off some of those higher dollar items. And on the same point too, that it stings knowing that I missed out on a little bit of cash. I mean, the one horror story that I'll share is I had a LeBron Ultimate rookie auto number to 250. It was a BGS 1010. It was a pristine 4 years ago, and I made it available on Blowout, on Sports Card Forum, Trader Retreat, whatever forums we were using at the time, for $6,000. Nobody budged. Nobody. I had it posted for 6 or 7 months. I took it to, I think it was the Chicago National, maybe, I don't know, but I cashed out of it for like $5,800, and now I think that card's worth 10 times what I sold it for. So that's my self-inflicted wound, at least the one I'm willing to share. There are definitely others, but yeah, it's when you see financial realities like that, it can sting a little bit.
Yeah, totally. When I chat with you on Instagram and I see your stuff on Blowout, the one thing I notice is that you seem to be having a lot more fun than the average collector.
I try.
Your humor is definitely there. Can you just speak to what fun means to you in this hobby? Because a lot of guys are getting into the financial side of it, and they sort of get away from why we started, and that's to have fun and collect basketball cards. Can you just talk about that?
Yeah, no, definitely. I can understand. There's so many different ways to approach our little corner of the world. Whether it's from the financial perspective, from just a pure collector hoarder perspective, but I mean, it's, hard as it might be to believe, a social perspective. But I mean, for me, it's a big part of it is definitely the chase, the evolution of the hobby, seeing again, just that. And I think my experience too of starting and then getting out and then restarting, getting out and then hopping back in, they've been very, very obvious or very jarring kind of changes to the hobby, and to see how it's changed. But just the evolution of tastes and preferences, like the evolution of how the internet's played such a huge part in this. I mean, I know when I first got back into things in college, the main online trading boards were like Beckett, the old Beckett boards, and Hobby Kings for basketball, and like that there was Trader Retreat and Sports Card Forum, and we've gone through so many iterations, and now it's Blowout and Facebook groups and Instagram. So it's been fascinating from that perspective to see how the hobby's grown, just as, obviously as the internet has expanded as well. But I mean, for me, first and foremost, it's the people. It's just fun. I mean, it never ceases to amaze me going to a show, and you'll see all walks of life come up with all different types of cards. I mean, I've had teenagers come up to my booth, and a lot of these teenagers have these big time Instagram accounts, and they'll pull up with just like a plastic box, like, hey, you want to take a look at my stuff? Of course, let's see what you got. And it's Jordan rookies, it's Jordan autographs. And like, man, I was 15, I was just out, I don't know, like running through the woods or playing basketball or something, and you've got $20,000-$30,000 worth of cardboard in front of me, and of course they know every single price and every single sale, and it's just cool. So it's you can see the youth in the hobby. And then, I mean, admittedly, some of my best actual friends, like not card friends, actual, global friends, are all from cardboard. I mean, I to toot his horn, Joe, SP Authentic, like another one of the cards I have over here on the side is I got from him 5 years ago. And, it started with talking about trying to buy a card, and to this day, like we pretty much talk every day. He's staying with me at the National, like he'll be set up. So it's just the excuse me, it's just the different people, the different backgrounds, the different walks of life, the different countries. It's just somehow these stupid little pieces of cardboard with ink on them are this great equalizer, right. Where we can all, meet different people and learn different things. So as kind of corny as that is, it's the truth. Like I can't really take myself too seriously when it comes to just buying and selling sports cards.
And when I started the hobby, I sort of had probably a bad misconception of what the common collector was. I thought it was mostly like the business side, but once I got into it and I started meeting a lot of the people, same as you, like I've made a lot of great friends, and
yeah,
even just starting this channel, like people are coming out of nowhere, like, hey, I want to be on the channel, I want to talk, and just seeing everyone's different, unique collections and hearing different stories. It's been a lot of fun, and I think that's definitely the best part of the hobby.
Yeah, I agree. Anything that can be done to just, humanize these little inanimate objects that you see on an Instagram feed. Like there's people and fun stories behind them too. I mean, last year at the National, I bought a card. It was a Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant, 2000-2001 UD game jersey, dual autograph. It was numbered 8/10. It was Kobe's jersey. It was the same guy who 16 years ago pulled the original redemption for that card. He had it for 16 years, and he sold it to me. And then Kiki Croatian twins. That was the first time I met him, and he hung out at the booth. He has the variation in the 8 of 10. So he was able, in a matter of 24 hours, we unearthed a card that had been hidden from a single person for 17 years. And Kiki and I were able to make a deal so he could pair the two 8 of 10s together. And It's just, I mean, all this happened within a day. So it's just kind of, it blew our collective minds. Like, what the hell just happened?
Those kind of stories are awesome. I like to enjoy some of my cards that aren't like pristine condition, because I always imagine like there's some story that got it to this point, right? Someone enjoyed the card before I had it, or they, it's been changing hands a lot, or it's gone through all these different things. And so if I get like a PSA 6 or 5, it doesn't bother me as much as most. Let's see. So you will be at National, and you've set up a few years in a row. So can you just give us a brief overview of your setup, what it's going to look like, what you're looking forward to most?
Yeah, I think aside from the people, like we kind of talked about, the best part of the National for me is just the unknown. I mean, if there's ever a chance that you're going to have the stories like I just mentioned of these crazy cards or crazy stories of stuff coming through that you've never seen it before, you didn't even know existed, you've been looking for it for years and years and years, the National is the place for it to happen. Just because everybody puts out their best and their brightest stuff. There's hundreds and hundreds of tables, so even if you're a multi-sport guy, you're going to be able to find everything and anything under the sun. It's a competition too, admittedly. Like I think it was somebody posted the other day in one of the National threads about like, hey, let's have a contest to see like who can find the best steal or the rarest card or from a set or whatever. And it's true. It's, you want to be out there. You want to find stuff before other people can, whether it's, to make some money for a personal collection, whatever. And there's plenty of deals to be had. There's plenty of good stuff to find. And I think that's what makes it that much more fun, is that it's not a matter of like beating somebody to the punch on the internet or winning an eBay auction. It's like somehow finding from these hundreds of thousands of cards in this massive warehouse or massive floor space, you were able to find the one thing that you were looking for, again, whether it was to flip, for personal collection, whatever. So I think just the hunt is certainly a really fun thing about the National as well. And then for me personally, it's just kind of enjoying my collection for a week. Like this is really the only show I set up at. Like the other ones I mentioned, I've set up at them once or twice before, but I'll normally just go for a morning. But this is kind of the one time out of the year where I throw everything in a display case, just kind of take a step back and be like, oh, kind of enjoy this. This is fun. And you make it all available too. If it's funny, I've fielded some questions about, from people, other high-end collectors who are going to the National for the first time, and they're like, should I bring in everything? Should I only bring certain stuff? Should I bring it all? And my response is always, well, bring it all, but be ready for it to leave if you bring it, because there's a very, very good chance that whether it's other dealers in the room who'll just walk up to a table and, put $100,000 in cash on a display case to buy people out, whether it's making a huge trade for something you never thought you would see ever, and you need certain cards that you brought with you as part of the deal. I mean, that stuff happens every year. It happens all the time. So it's something you have to be ready for, but that's kind of part of the excitement too. Again, that's just, you don't know what's going to happen. You just don't know what you're going to see. You just don't know. So the unknown is, you walk in there on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then on Sunday, I do it old school. I don't do anything on my phone. I just have a little memo pad and paper, and I write down what goes out, what comes in, and I'll flip through that memo pad and be like, well, a lot going on in those 5 days.
So anything you have is up for sale? I know a lot of guys, they'll do it just to kind of show off, but everything you have, you would be willing to part with at some
I would say that both points that you just made are correct. I price things admittedly to a point where they're more likely for just show off than to move. But I've done that before, and I've had people either come up with stuff to trade or just that wanted something, and we made a deal. So it's all ready to go. If the stars align, it's not coming home with me, unfortunately.
Well, there's a couple that I'm going to be eyeing at your collection, so I'm always willing to pay overpriced, so we'll see what happens.
I'll try and index some of the asking prices that I have just for you. So
Sure. I mean, you know what I'm looking for, so I don't have to bring it up again. I want to hit on one somber topic, and then I want to
Yep.
look at some cards.
Yep.
So the one thing I wanted to ask you, I know you've seen the fake threads around the 90s stuff, and I've been involved in that. And you've had some comments on the threads. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about? I want to do a longer podcast about it, but I know you've been involved, so I think you have some pretty strong opinions about it.
No, definitely. And obviously, thank you for sharing and the process of going through, working through everything with PSA and, your understanding of why you thought something was one way, and then other people chiming in with other experiences and ideas, and just being so transparent with that process. I think that's one thing I'll say, is that everybody has been, and I really hope I don't jinx this, but everybody in those threads, the fake threads, has been incredibly civil and helpful. There's been differences of opinion and people asking questions, why do you think this? But for the most part, everybody's been willing to share knowledge and to try and figure this out, because unfortunately it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Especially as the prices of a lot of these cards just continue to jump at pretty ridiculous rates.
Right.
So the more information that we can share and be willing to share experiences of what we've seen, like especially with you and Grant, and I think Nat as well, reaching out to the PSA and working with them to send them some of the questionable cards, and so they can get educated. I still don't know what BGS is doing, but it's good to see that not only the hobbyists such as ourselves are taking action, but also the people who are in place to make sure, and the experts to say basically, yes, this is the real deal. So the more information that can be shared, the more we can kind of continue to bounce experiences and observations off of each other. I think is going to be fantastic for us. The main thing that I would say is, don't be afraid to ask questions or ask for help. If there's something that's questionable, whether it's from, authenticity of a card, you have questions about a deal in terms of the other person, the other party, you're just not sure what to do in a certain situation, feel free to reach out to anybody. I mean, on Blowout specifically, or Instagram, you can always shoot me a message. I know, Josh, you're the same way. Just shoot a message in terms of, hey, something about this seems off. What should I do, or what are your thoughts? Because when I first got back into things in college, I got ripped off for a couple $1,000 a deal. It was all like, my eyes were bigger than my stomach type thing. Like, oh, this is a huge win for me. I was just chasing the cash for a nice flip to get back into things. And I mean, all the red flags were there. You send first. This guy didn't have any references. Take a group picture. Well, here's some scans, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, looking back on it, it's like, I screwed up in every sense of the word. Like I did a very bad job on every single part of that deal. But I was too prideful or too embarrassed or whatever it was to reach out to my card buddy at school and be like, dude, does this make sense? Like, this guy's he's being a jerk right now, and he's trying to bully me into doing this, and just all sorts of stuff that I should have run up the flagpole with him, with somebody who's been doing this much longer than I have. And I got burned. So, I can fully appreciate and understand somebody being nervous or concerned about a deal, wanting a second set of eyes just to say, am I crazy for thinking this? Because most of the time you're not. Like, just go with your gut feeling. And that's all you can do. That's the best you can do. Thankfully, we're at a point now where, whether it's a lot of like the Facebook groups with scammers that are it's scammer pages devoted to jerks who rip people off, just simple Google searches, the breadth and depth of knowledge on the forums, on Instagram. Like, there's a lot of really good places to find information. And again, maybe that's something that you don't know. And if you want help trying to track down a card or a person, that's not as hard as it used to be at all. So again, if there's ever any questions that anybody has about, a person, is a card legit? Like, is this patch fake? Is this card fake? Whatever. there's more than enough people out there who are more than happy to help out. The only thing I will say is that that's very different from, should I make this trade from a value perspective, or a car, I'm giving up this and getting this in return. Should I do it? Like, yep. I'm sorry, but we have eBay, there's different ways to gauge this, good luck, but that's not what I'm talking about. It's a matter of somebody not being comfortable with how any aspect of a deal is going, and just not being afraid to reach out to individuals to make a post or whatever. Because that's really, really important. Both sides have to be comfortable. And if you drop something in the mail and as soon as it's gone, you're immediately stressing out, like you probably shouldn't be making a deal.
Yep. That was very well said, man. Appreciate you touching on that. It's
happened to all of us, man. Unfortunately, it's a thing that we have to deal with now. And again, I think we're all very well equipped to deal with it. And everybody is doing a pretty good job so far of making sure that, the conversation stays civil. Yeah. But we just need to stay that way, and, just don't be afraid to reach out for help.
I know you would agree, but the importance of all of us getting behind this and getting it figured out is paramount. Like, it's not only protecting our financials in the value of these cards, but also, like, we don't want this happening. This is just it's just a downer for the hobby, and we don't want fakes in our collections either. So it's super important. We have to figure it out, and we have to keep talking about it.
And everyone has different areas of expertise too. There's people who are experts in 90s cards. There's people who can spot fake patches a mile away. Yep. Again, it's just finding the resources that best suit whatever question or issue you need to address. And we can go from there, because they're definitely out there.
Totally. Well, I purposely made that the last question so that we could go from that straight to the fun stuff, show off some cards.
All right. So I've grabbed a few. So I went to University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill for undergrad and grad school. And I played a year of basketball there. So I'm a pretty diehard Tar Heel. So there's a couple cards that specifically speak to that. The first one is, let's see if I can do this right. So the first one is it's a buyback, or I think this is a camp autograph that somebody got with Jordan at one of his flight schools, but it's just Dean Smith and Jordan together. I mean, Dean's the GOAT for me. There is no other option. I know other coaches have more wins and losses and national titles, but Dean, for both basketball and beyond basketball, what he did, just for the sport in general, is like nothing else that I don't think we'll ever see it in our life, at least not in my lifetime. And then the second one, so this is the one that I bought from Joe, again, 4 or 5 years ago, and this is what kickstarted, whether he would agree to it or not, our friendship. But it's the only back pulled Dean Jordan auto, I think, from 06, 07, chronology. So this is, again, I make everything available at the National, but when people ask for the price on this, what it would take to get it, it's very clear that
one has more meaning.
It's probably not a good idea to buy that. That's what I'll say.
Sure.
All right. So the other things, I mean, obviously I'm an unabashed UD Black fan. I think the 2008, 2009 UD Black dual patch autos, the silvers and the golds, are some of the nicest cards for me that I've ever seen. So of course these have been posted before, but I'll never miss an opportunity to show them off again. So this is the Kobe LeBron. And as far as I know, there's only 2 different sets where it's both on-card autos of Kobe and LeBron with patches. So there's on-card jersey auto duels, there's sticker auto patch duels, but as far as I know, this is the only on-card patch autograph of the 2, with the other one being, and there's a couple of them online right now, but it's from 0809. I think it's called Ultimate Pairings, numbered to 5. There's one online right now that has a LeBron inscription on it, where he signed it on the patch. But I'm much more the UD Black stuff. So
that card is nasty, man.
Predictable. This would be the next one. So it's one of the Jordan LeBron UD Black golds, number to 5. I have 2 of these, but I just grabbed this one because it's got the Cavs patch similar to the Kobe duel. And the thing that I like about this one is that I grabbed this at a national 4 years ago, I think. So I had one of them, And again, it was just one of those things wandering around. And so when I go to the National, I don't really stay at my booth. I'm just always wandering around trying to grab stuff that's put out quickly, and as inventory is recycled in and out, pretty much nonstop for 5 days. I try and walk around more, and that just got thrown out. So what do you want on it? And I was happy with what he wanted on it, so
bought it.
To the stash. So as I mentioned too, the refractors. So I did sell quite a few of those just because I had quite a bit of volume, but I did hang on to a few of those. So I mean, the 96, 97 Topps Chrome. Oh, that was
man. There's like no green on that thing too.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Yeah. So the Jordan, and I know there's a few tens of these, but for me, it was mainly finding one that is a graded, so it's nice, but just without the green, like you mentioned. So,
dude, I love them. PSA 9s are awesome, dude. They're like so close to perfect, and the prices are much better.
Yeah, and for those people, I know there's a lot of talking about shiny stuff on the boards, and a lot of people aren't really into it. But if you've ever seen the 96, 97 chrome refractors in person, I mean, they glow. It's just the most ridiculous thing that. Whatever the type of chrome they use that year, and then the refractor finish that they put on them, they legitimately look like they're glowing. And then last but not least, for your picture in the background, the old Choctaws. I still think this is the nicest. The combination of the gold finish, the photo of LeBron and the Choctaws. It's just iconic. Like, it's just one of my favorite cards. It perfectly encapsulates like everything a sports card should be. So that would be my little stash without going too deep into the inventory.
All right, man. I'm gonna wrap it up. This has been amazing. I'm gonna see that card first thing when I see you. I'm gonna ask you to pull out that gold refractor.
More than happy to.
This was amazing. Thanks for all your knowledge, man. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
No, of course. Thank you for having me. And I'm a big fan. I love the show.
Great. Well, I will see you at National.
Awesome. Sounds good. Take care, Josh.
See ya.